Hey, Mr. McLaren here. So we're going to be going over the CER intro in this video. You don't need to watch this if we're going to do it in class. It'd probably actually be better for you to do it in class. This is just for people who weren't there. So if you guys look at this, this is very similar to the CER from Friday, but it's a little bit more simple, basically. So we're gonna be looking at some silly situation. I'm gonna have you guys like think about what could be evidence. I'm gonna just give you some right now, and you're going to then be looking at the rubric and yeah, scoring yourself and seeing how you did. So just a review. Here's our definitions. I think for this one, the main thing that we're going to be focusing on is observations. So we're not going to really have any like measurable data here. It would be really nice if we could get some, but you can't always, right? So let's see. Um, Here, right here we've got the claim is Mr. McLaren is an alien from another planet. Sure, that's actually the claim itself because that's, you know, kind of the way it's worded is just it's a claim. So that's a claim. So if you've not seen, there's oftentimes like sci-fi, it's like, oh, there's this alien person here that looks like a person, but they're actually like from Mars or something, you know? So I want you thinking about what might be some evidence that Mr. McLaren is an alien. So you might be like, well, um, maybe I don't know. I actually no. Give me a second to think about some stuff. Okay, so the first one is uh, Mr. McLaren is much taller than most humans. So, so that's like just one piece of evidence being like, whoa, he's like really tall. That seems kind of like strange. So I'm not going to say anything else because I was going to say kind of like why I thought that that was some evidence, but that's going to end up going down into the reasoning. So we'll hold off on that. So we got one thing is that I'm really tall. And okay, here's another one. Maybe I am like there's if you're thinking about like what's characteristic of people and humans and things like that, I'm thinking of like digestion. So you're like, okay, maybe Mr. McLaren has batteries in his lunchbox. Or something that's like not digestible for us. I was thinking like, or maybe rocks. We could do rocks. He's got rocks in his lunchbox. He just like eats them, allegedly. So I was also thinking about this, like maybe I was a robot, and I was like, okay, well, how would we know if it's a robot versus an alien? I know it's kind of a ridiculous scenario here, where you're trying to figure out is Mr. McLaren maybe an alien? But you could think like, well, what if Mr. McLaren's finger didn't bleed when he got a uh, paper cut? I hate paper cuts, by the way. That's probably the best thing about going virtual is your Chromebook can't give you a paper cut, right? No, it can definitely still hurt you. So yeah, so I'm trying to think like maybe there's multiple explanations here. Oftentimes in science there is multiple explanations. These things might be like, well, this indicates that he's an alien, this or possibly a robot, right? So maybe you could then kind of like knock out some other possibilities and like disprove them with some evidence. So maybe you could be like, hey, maybe uh he does doesn't okay, maybe we could say when we I don't know. When he gets electrocuted Like I'm not saying don't do that to me. Like maybe I like accidentally got electrocuted and you saw that or something. Like I like there was some water or something. So, I don't know. So maybe let's say when he gets electrocuted, he woke or he not I don't know. Let's maybe not say it's that bad. Maybe let's say I don't know. He seemed fine. Say lightly electrocuted or something like that, like a little shock. Maybe we could change that so it's like when he sticks his finger in the socket, it he yelped in pain and pulled his finger out. Which, by the way, don't do this. Is like you don't want to stick your finger in an outlet; it can seriously hurt you. So yeah, little PSA there. um, yeah, like if it's too long, it can do some damage. Um, he seemed fine a few seconds later. So this indicates that like I do feel pain, right? So it's like, oh well, maybe he's not a robot because he's feeling pain. Also, not to mention the fact that the electricity might mess with him, and we didn't see that. So that's to me, that's some reasoning that we can tie into this next slide. So right here, you could be like, uh, I'm gonna change the color on this. This again, reasoning's kind of weird. This would be where you would be putting your whatchamacallit, your scientific terms in there. So here you could say like most humans are under 6'8", but Mr. McLaren is much larger. Also, what do we say? He eats rocks, which humans normally don't do. This is where you're like, oh man, Mr. McLaren, you gotta get better at typing. It's this is why we've got spell check, right? Um, so I feel like I'm just kind of stating what the things are, but we're kind of adding a little bit. So Mr. McLaren is much larger, so it's possible he's not human. Also, he eats rocks, which humans normally don't do. And all right, let's see. The paper cut not causing it to bleed might be due to it not being deep enough, but given the other two pieces, it suggests that Mr. McLaren doesn't have blood. Um, Further experiments might uh might be able to confirm this. So that this is something that like oftentimes people do in their reasoning is they'll kind of talk about their next steps, like what they might do. This is making me a little worried though. Just gonna go back and little corrections here. Okay. I thought he might also be a robot, but the electricity didn't interfere with them, or it didn't affect them, we could say. in the long term, which you might expect from a robot. I've seen this plenty of times with my own electronics, such as my phone that short-circuited when it fell in the toilet. It didn't actually, that hasn't happened to me. I'm just trying to make a silly thing to keep you guys with me. Oh gosh, Mr. McLaren. This one isn't even close enough. Oh man. That's close, right? Yeah. No? There we go. And we'll do that as well. It seems most certain that Mr. McLaren is not a human and is more likely to be a alien than robot. Possibly. You never know with McLaren though. Maybe one of the McLarens is an alien and the other one's a robot. Remember, I do have a twin brother. So we've written them, and these things, they're looking pretty good, but we want to double check them. So if we go back to our CER rubric, for this one I've just got on slide 7, so you can scroll up and down right here to help you see that reasoning. I know it's kind of small. And so if I'm looking here, the claim briefly answers the question. Yeah, I think that that's good. So I would probably score that as a 3 out of 3. Then for this one, I'm looking at the evidence, and I don't think I labeled any of the parts. So I need observations, sources, and how it was observed. So you can see at this point, I have some of the stuff, but not other parts. So this is good that we're seeing this. I do have 4 pieces of evidence, so I'm okay off this component right here. Like, I have multiple pieces of evidence, but I need to add some stuff to it. So let's go back to this and let's look at this. So this is basically just the observation, right? So this is like, he's much taller, right? So that's gonna be purple. I think that both of these, actually all of these are, all of them are just the observations. I haven't said how I got this information. So I saw this with my own eyes, maybe, which is a pretty decent type of evidence, but it's nice when you can get something else, someone else to have seen it. So like for example, this. Everyone has, or maybe you could say, I saw Mr. McLaren last year, and he was, oh my gosh, that was, I saw Mr. McLaren last year, and he was at least 6 inches taller than most other adults. Something like that, right? So you could say like, you could say I and my classmates, because there's multiple people who saw this, right? So now you've got more people able to confirm this. So let's see. So the dark blue is the seeing, so that it was seen. That was how it was collected, was just by like seeing it. We estimated this, we estimated, I should say, that he's 6 inches taller. Or about 6 inches taller than most adults. So that, I think this is done by estimation, is a part of the dark blue. a little bit because that's how this data was collected. It was an estimation. You saw it, you kind of just estimated. Um, and then you could say Mr. McLaren's finger didn't bleed when he got a paper cut or something like that, right? So that might have been my friend told me they saw this themselves, right? So this could be a rumor, right? So like we don't want to just go off of rumors. So this is like not part of the observation. This is saying they saw it. So the friend saw it. So I'm gonna do that as the dark blue and just that. The light blue is the source, which is your friend and them telling you. Sometimes these things kind of bleed together. I'm not really sure about the told me piece. I think that's kind of like the source. So I'm kind of leaning that way. So okay, I have these, and then also I need to say the saw was the dark blue. So I've definitely got that. That's good. Maybe I told you about this. That's not a very good piece of evidence, is it? If it's just like Mr. McLaren telling you, "Oh yeah, this happened to me when I was doing this thing." That's not very good evidence. That actually I wouldn't even consider a scientific evidence if it's just like me telling you something, right? Um, this I'm gonna just say this experiment could be repeated, right? So I think that that's maybe worth saying. Like you could do that again to just test that out. Um, so maybe it wasn't he did this. Maybe this was caught on camera. Yes, this was caught on camera in one of his YouTube videos. So there's video evidence of this. I mean, we know that videos can be faked, but I do trust them more than just random things like that people tell me. Like if you can show me a video, I believe it more than someone's story. Maybe I could say filmed on camera. So that is how it was collected, which is the dark blue, I believe. And then the source was one of his YouTube videos. That's the light blue. So remember, light blue is that source, dark blue is how it's collected. So if I'm looking here, I'm good off the claim. The evidence, I've got all three components for all three of these, are all of my parts of my evidence. And then if I look here at my reasoning, this doesn't really apply very well, but we said we wanted to hit the words alien and planet. I think I may have forgotten the word planet. See. And then I could say it's possible that aliens don't have blood, right? I mean, it's pretty unlikely because they'd have to get nutrients around their body in some way, but maybe they've got like some other system. So let's highlight that. And if it's the like plural or singular, that's fine. You can still highlight it. And so the alien is there as well. Again, this doesn't apply super well, but you can also maybe say uh, it's possible that aliens are larger than humans, right? I think that that might make this just a little bit better of an reasoning because I'm saying why that height makes me think he's an alien. So you guys see how like by using the rubric, I'm actually making these noticeably better, even when it's like not a real prompt. Yeah, and then I'm just saying that the aliens might eat rocks as well, right? Okay, I think that that's looking pretty good though. Um, yeah, that's the main idea with doing CER. This is just another silly example. Cool. Thank you for joining me. This has been Mr. McLaren.